Hello and welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. This is our website's podcast where we publish the full interviews from our site's articles and sometimes release exclusive episodes. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, Jamie, Vera and Lynn of the Montreal-based punk band Taxi Girls discuss forming the band after Pale Lips disbanded, their upcoming debut album Static, their influences and how they write music, the Montreal music scene, working with producer Ryan Battistuzzi, opening for the likes of NOFX, Billy Talent, Pansy Division and the Hives, being played by Iggy Pop, and much more. Again, apologies for how long it took to get this interview out. My explanation for that is in the previous episode, or maybe the one before it, I can't remember. We recorded this at the end of April, but thankfully the album isn't out until next month, so still technically on time. Although I am sorry for how long it took to the people who set it up. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Hello.
How are you? I'm very well. How are you guys doing?
Good, guys.
Perfect. Maybe if I just get started, like if everyone could just say your name just for like the recording so people know who's talking.
Okay. We're Taxi Girls, and I'm Vera.
Hi, my name's Jamie.
I'm Lynn, the drummer.
And Gab is not with us.
Yeah, we have a.
today.
Hi, I'm Gab.
We should have like a sock puppet, just
Yeah.
for referencing. It's very nice to talk with you guys. I was very interested in kind of picking your brains a little bit about I guess like the scene you're actually part of. So for those who don't know, you're from Montreal, and you guys been in the punk scene for a while there. I was wondering what it's actually like there.
Oh, good question.
Being in Montreal is so great. Like
Yeah.
the shows are always really full and a lot of support for each other and each other's bands. Lots of young people, old people, every kind of person is in the rock and roll scene in Montreal.
And a good variety of different styles.
Yeah, totally. Like even within like the one punk or rock and roll scene, there's like all kinds of different like sub styles and very unique.
And to describe the energy and what it's like too, winter, summer, doesn't matter. It's guaranteed to be sweaty and fun and dancey. That's one thing, like very proud to be in a scene in Montreal where people are going to dance
Mhm.
and it's gonna be fun.
It's very alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose like it's good to be in like a sweatbox of a venue during
Yeah,
the
sweatbox.
Canadian winters.
And summer. So a little known fact, because Canada, people don't know, it gets very hot in the summer.
Yes, I
And
know.
Montreal venues are very skinny and like there's
Yeah.
not a lot of ventilation. So it's really like, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I knew a Canadian girl who lived here, and she was always complaining that like her apartment was like really like hot during the summer, like she couldn't stand it. And I was like, but you're from Canada, you guys get like much hotter summers than we do. And she was like, yeah, but like we have proper ventilation, so yeah, I think I think it swings around about.
Yeah.
Well, I have two air conditioners.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
One in the front, one in the back.
It's even in our
Yeah,
rider. There's got to be a fan.
Yes. And cross
Yes.
breeze if you're lucky, like.
If you guys ever come to Europe, that's one thing you should know. No one here has air conditioning. Well, actually, to be
Yeah.
fair, like
Oh,
hotels
yeah,
do,
we
but
know.
Yeah.
We've played.
Yeah. No.
Well, actually, maybe we could talk about that, with the background, because I know like this project was somewhat. Correct me if I'm getting this wrong. Was kind of an offshoot of Pale Lips, and obviously its own thing, but it was sort of a splinter from that group. So I was wondering, maybe you could talk about like how long you've all been playing for, because Taxi Girls is not like your first project by any means. So you've been in the scene for a while. So um, I guess maybe like a bit about the background of the band, like how you think it kind of differs from everything else you've done prior.
Yeah, well, Pale Lips was much more of a softer project, I guess. And that was a band that Lynn and I played in before Taxi Girls. During COVID, Pale Lips decided that we would no longer So we just decided to find some new members and create some new songs. And yeah, so we've been together since
2022?
2022.
Right.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
started just the three of us,
Yeah.
and then the newest Gap joined like 2 years ago? A year ago?
Almost two. I think
Almost
it's two.
2 years, yeah, where we have another guitar player.
Yeah, and she plays on the album that is gonna be released in
Yeah,
June.
lead guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have to ask, so like for this project for Taxi Girls, I mean, how do you find that kind of differs from those other projects you've been in more broadly? I mean, is this kind of unique fixture is this kind of like the sound that you're going for here, which kind of sort of, it takes a plethora of influences. I mean, obviously from punk rock is kind of most predominantly, but also garage rock, Riot Girl. It takes like a bit from kind of like a lot of different elements. So were these styles that you guys had been familiar with, like playing before, or is this kind of like new ground for you? I mean, what kind of keeps it exciting, I guess?
Oh boy. Okay, so like when we write songs, I like I'll say me personally, when I sit down and start like thinking about writing a song, I don't think about what it's gonna sound like in the end. Which I don't know if is like a very normal process or not. Like some people are like, okay, I want to write a punk song. I really want it to sound like the Ramones, or I really want it to sound like Bikini Kill or whatever. That never happens in our process.
Yeah.
Like we literally like will be like, okay, here's these words that I have. I want it to sound like we're driving in a car.
Maybe. That's if we're
Maybe.
lucky if we know the image. But
Yeah, and then like we're like, okay, well, how does it sound to like drive in a car with like your girlfriends?
Yeah.
Like what does that sound like? And then like, take that energy and like create something. And most of it happens to be punk rock or rock and roll, but there's definitely on the upcoming album some like very soft music that I would say has been influenced by like Sloan and I don't know if are you familiar with Sloan? The
Yes, yes, I know
Canadian,
Sloan, yes. Yeah.
Canadian
Yes.
Sloan,
They
who
sold a record or two
I
over
bow
here.
down to.
and then even then, when you say it sounds like slow, that came later. It's
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
wrote it, and then it's like, oh wow, actually,
Yeah.
it's reminiscent of.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can definitely hear the influences after, but I don't
Neither do I.
go into a song being like, okay, I want it to sound like Sloan or like, anything like that. But those influences definitely peek through.
And I think too, like when people say it's unapologetically us, like that's probably what that means. Because like sometimes when we're writing, it's like, well, this is really how I felt in that moment, and that really carries through in the song. And I think that is relatable to people. It's like I felt like that too. And so when we perform it and what's on the record, it's like we definitely felt that when we recorded it. And like still very much so, have that in us when we play the songs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to ask because, like, you've talked about like your influences. You mentioned in the EPK bands like the Muffs and Joan Jett and L7 and like a bunch of different projects. And I was wondering, like, in terms of like what you guys have in overlap in terms of musical taste, I was wondering what the contrasts are. I mean, is there stuff that you guys disagree on, and
I
does
love
that
this
in any way
question.
incorporate into the music? Because I think actually sometimes like that kind of like butting of heads can be quite actually can be quite good for art.
It's incredible. Jamie and I don't agree on a lot of music tastes.
Yeah.
And it's like incredibly inspiring. Honestly, it's the coolest thing because it'll be like, well, I don't actually like that, but I don't like that band at all. Like Jamie doesn't actually even like L7 that much, and I love L7.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck? But then it still works. And I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world because like that's a lot of different tastes. Gap, the other guitar player, is in like grindcore band.
Oh.
Lynn is in like another like punk band. You know, it's just like there's a lot of different tastes coming together here.
And I
Um,
think
yeah.
in our music, I think you feel that.
Yes.
You know, like
You do.
it's an explosion of different styles, you know, that
Yeah.
we all carry with and hang on to still, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like it's kind of hard to categorize um our music. I mean, you'll hear it again a lot more with the record where there's like a lot of different
Mhm.
types of influences that poke through, but yeah, definitely we listen to like very, very, very different music, and those influences like come from everywhere. And I don't think necessarily like it's a bumping of heads. It's just like the influences are just different. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes like Vera will show me a song and I'm like, I would never listen to that, but I understand what you mean.
And I'll do the same and be like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, well
But do you
said.
think do you think there is a limitation in terms of like how much influence you're willing to incorporate into the project you've established? Because, say, for example, if you want to do a grindcore track, is that just like too out of the parameters? Or if you want to do like a 20-minute krautrock song, is that like out of the parameters of what's permissible in Taxi Girls? Or is it really everything goes?
Uh, well, to be honest, like I mentioned, we never go into a song being like, okay, I want this to be a punk song, I want this to be a grindcore song.
Yeah.
So if that happened, I mean, organically,
Well, okay, for our upcoming album, there's a song that's, I will say, no spoilers, but reminiscent of like Devo, right? So it's
Yes,
like
yes.
that's not, we didn't know that was gonna happen. That particular song took us like 3 years to write. So it's like, oh, finally we figured out that like, you know, and
and then after the fact, we're just like, oh
yeah, oh,
we all clearly like Devo.
yeah. So it all depends.
Yeah.
You
I want
never
to talk
know
about
with us.
I want to talk about the record. So it's called Static. I have the release date is June 26th. Is that correct?
Yep.
Correct.
Perfect. And I want to talk about it because you were kind of mentioning there, like, the development of some of the songs. So I was wondering, obviously you had the Coming of Roses EP, back in 23, I think. So I was wondering, like, how long has this kind of been working on? I mean, has this been like to realize, I guess, your first like full length LP? How long has the kind of process been, I guess, in terms of like curating the songs and obviously recording, mastering, producing, and all that, but just if you want to give like maybe like a timeline.
One of these songs existed before the band existed.
Yeah.
So
And then the other one we just said 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the latest song we finished
A couple months ago.
a month and a half ago. So it took a long time. And in the end, we just like these are all the songs that we've ever written.
Yeah.
You know, we were just like we didn't have any filler, we didn't have any songs that were like, okay, no, we're not doing this. Except for like the newest song that we wrote which was becoming
6 a.m.
And then we have a couple of songs.
Yeah, a couple. We'll probably get back to it
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones that we recorded for the record. So.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like we went into it being like, okay, we want to do 10 songs.
Yeah.
And then in the end there's 13. 12 plus 1.
And then we also have like the Rainy EP that came out in 2024. So that was like,
Yeah.
we knew that we were gonna write an album. It's like, okay, these songs aren't gonna go on the album. This is gonna, so it's like, I guess 2 years would be like a fair.
Yep.
But then we
Time.
got busy with festivals last
yeah.
year, so we
Right.
couldn't get into the studio.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it got super complicated.
Yeah, actually, I mean, speaking about festivals, I mean, like, you guys have had like a lot of like great opportunities. Like, one that I was like really interested in was actually the Punk and Drublic Montreal
Right.
show. And like a bunch of different festivals around the city that are like great like opportunities for like, a band so like young. I mean, like, the project's only been going for like 4 years now. So I was wondering, did it feel like to you guys like you hit the ground running with this project, or did it feel more gradual? Because from the outset it looks like very rapid, but I don't know if that's how it felt to you guys, like actually in the moment.
Yeah, I guess so, but like I guess this comes back to the fact that like Lynn and I had played in a touring band before. A lot of people were paying attention to us. and it was kind of like a bit of a surprise that that project stopped. So people were kind of like, oh, well, what is everyone gonna do? What are you guys gonna do? And so as soon as like we announced that Taxi Girls was a thing, we had a lot of support from people from the old band, even our old
Contacts.
bandmates are super supportive. And yeah, all our old contacts. And not only that, but I mean, like it came out. Like we wrote good songs from the beginning, and they gained like a lot of like radio traction, and a lot of people were talking about them from the get go. It wasn't like a slow climb. Like our first singles were played by Iggy Pop, like
Yeah.
on his radio show. So it's definitely had some hype. I don't know exactly how that happened.
Yeah, we still don't really know how that happened, which is super cool.
But yeah. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it does seem like a pace that you were expecting, or this is I guess just like how it's kind of felt in because like I don't know, like if I find like being in bands, it's like sometimes there are things where it feels like suddenly everything's going to happen at once, and there's other times where it feels like complete stagnation. So I don't know if that's how it felt for you guys, or if it feels like it's kind of moving at the pace you were kind of expecting.
I thought we would have had our LP a long time ago,
Yeah.
but because of all the festivals, like, it was just, we had to practice for the festivals. And so,
And I had a baby.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. That took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like especially because we started recording last May and then spent all summer playing away almost every
Yeah.
weekend or every second weekend. So it really was hard for us to
Get to it,
yeah,
to
exactly.
practice the new songs.
Yes.
We had to like actually decline a lot of shows like in the fall
Yeah.
because we were like, we have to write. And we just couldn't write being so like on the road and tired and just being like,
Yeah, we actually like set a boundary.
Yeah.
Like, we're
No
not playing shows for
for 3 months. And we were like in the creative incubator there for like 3 months just writing. Yeah.
And pre-production
Yeah.
and
Was more material kind of coming like as you were making the record, or had you kind of like solidified and said, no, this is exactly what we're going to do, and let's commit to this? Because I don't know if you guys have this, but like I sometimes speak about like recency bias, where some people will like, they'll be trying to record a song and then they'll come up with like a new riff and then they fall in love with that and they're trying to like chase that as a new song. And I know that's always like an issue for musicians. Do you guys, because you were saying like the record that's coming out means like kind of sort of your discography as it exists at the moment. So sorry, rather it's kind of like everything you've had that kind of up until this moment. So I was wondering, like, were you still like crafting during the festivals, or were you still crafting in that time, or had you all kind of solidified what the EP's track list was going to be by then?
I think we had a pretty good idea of what it was going to be. I mean, the creative process is a process for a reason. That's another thing. So I don't think, personally, I will always be writing
Yeah.
things down or like, but like the musical ideas, not so much. And we work with such a great producer. That like all of our ideas somehow, like it's just like, oh, well, that took care of that. That took care of like that little idea. Okay, perfect. Like that's how it feels. And when we work in the studio. So it's like, even though ideas may have come up, they were somehow put in to the music.
And we've been working with him for quite a while now. So, it kind of, he understands and brings us a lot of great ideas,
Yeah.
like he gets it.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
very fun to
Kind of
work
even
with.
like a mind reader, like, oh, I know what you mean, even though we didn't say anything. It's like, how did you do that? So
Yeah, there were a couple songs that we crafted in the studio. Like, he wanted like a kind of like a acousticy song. He wanted a really fast song.
yeah,
So we wrote those like in the studio with him.
yeah, together.
Which was really fun. We've never done that before.
Yeah, I
And
think
that
like
was
right?
3.
Three.
Yeah. Well,
And when it came to you were saying like at some point you had to cancel shows in the fall because you're like we have to get this record done. Was there an imposed release date, or was it kind of more self-determined that this is just what you want to do for the next project? So you were gonna like sit down, just like craft it out and get it ready, or was there kind of I don't know external expectations?
yeah, we just like set a boundary.
Yeah.
We're just like
Well-
we can't do this. Like we can't play shows every weekend and
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's impossible.
Also
Yeah.
having a label being if we're putting you out, here are dates. So
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
really like
That
was
helps
set in
too.
stone
Yeah.
to like, okay, we gotta hurry up.
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
deadlines are actually very conducive to productivity and sometimes
Yes.
creativity. Did you guys find any pressure like in terms of like getting met by a certain deadline, or was it pretty much smooth sailing?
Well, now it's a little bit like, okay, we gotta make the videos. We gotta
Yes.
like be there on this. So it's starting. I
Yeah.
would say I feel that a little.
I work well under pressure.
Yeah.
So once, that's my work too in life. So I feel being under
Yeah.
pressure is always best
Me
because
too.
it just rolls and then you
Sure.
don't have time to stop and
Smell the roses.
Also, like I think like the creative process can be so drowned out, and like what you were saying, how like oh you like are chasing a riff, or like you this riff goes to this other song now because it belongs there. Like
Yeah,
with deadlines, you can't do that.
right.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, maybe we'll save that for later. Like we'll never throw them away. They're there, but we're like, we're not looking at it anymore.
Exactly. We actually have we have like a shared note where we
Yeah.
throw away lyrics that we don't use.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
called like inspirational.
So in case we use it later.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's interesting. So it's kind of like yeah, it's just like kind of making the association then after the fact. So I find that very interesting too in terms of the creative process, in terms of like how kind of lyrics formulate, because you do sometimes go like, okay, here's the concept, here's the idea, here's how I'm gonna kind of like write it. But other times I find it very interesting when kind of seemingly disparate ideas kind of like formulate and come together and kind of build something on top of that. Has that been the songwriting process just in terms from a lyrical perspective? I mean, is it kind of just like letting your mind kind of go free and seeing what it comes out with, or is it more regimented and kind of with a kind of prospect of here's what I'm trying to articulate?
I would say it's both.
Yeah, me too.
I am a lyric obsessive.
Yeah.
And I like to make sure that things make sense, and have a lot of meaning behind them. But sometimes they don't have to. And sometimes when they don't, like that's totally fine. And that like it can mean something to like the writer and not necessarily like the entire audience. And like there's definitely like a couple moments on the record that are like that for sure. But yeah, like sometimes lyrics come first, sometimes music comes first, sometimes like a little hummed melody comes first, sometimes a drum beat comes first, sometimes a bass line comes first. It's really kind of like our process is so not textbook.
Consistent. Yeah.
And I would say even like I don't like the words like organic or like but it is very like honoring what creativity is. It's very special.
Yes.
You never know.
Mhm.
And so like
Spontaneous.
light
Yeah.
bulb moments, like we're never gonna that's how we write music. It's very authentic, I would say.
Yeah.
If I could
And I would say even if we jam,
Yeah.
we haven't done it in a while, but
we've written songs like that.
sometimes just on the fly of
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? Just being together, things come up really fast,
Mhm.
And so then, yeah, sometimes we record it just so, because you can't recreate it sometimes,
Yeah.
Sure.
Um,
I was interested in something you were talking about with making the music videos to complement the songs, and one thing that was very interesting, you were speaking earlier about like how a lot of this concepts or the ideas come from um trying like come from a kind of atmospheric starting point where you're trying to you're using the example of like what's it like driving in the car with your girlfriends, like trying to capture a certain mood or a certain atmosphere. And when it comes to then translating that to the visual medium, I mean, does that reflect the original concept, or does by the time the idea formulates into a song, and then that song is then given an accompanying video. Has the original concept developed in a different way? Do the music videos often have that same starting point, that original germ of an idea, or by the time they're made, it's just something completely different?
Yeah, it depends on who we're working with. That's the
Yeah.
funnest part, is like the director, we've been lately really liking to give, we find someone's work we like. And then we're like, okay, they've got a great vision and we're just gonna trust your vision, kind of trust the
Yeah.
process, right? But definitely they're driving the car with their girlfriends. No spoilers again, but that there's sometimes where it's like, it's gonna be obvious that that's a
Yeah.
visual that's going to
Yeah.
be represented, but like, yeah, like I said, we trust the directors too.
Or a secret handshake.
Or a secret.
Having
Oh,
listened to the record, I feel that there is a great like continuity between the songs, which is very interesting considering like how kind
You
of
heard the
disparate the
record?
writing was. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
I don't know if
I
I
thought
was
you just
meant
heard
to,
the.
so
No,
I was
that's
given
okay. I thought you just heard the single.
Yeah.
So
I
okay,
was
that's great.
given a SoundCloud link to the single, and
Awesome.
that brought me to
Cool.
the album. So I don't know if I was meant to listen to it just yet.
Okay.
But,
That's
um,
awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But I did think there was a great continuity between the record. I mean, considering like as you mentioned, like it's so like disparate in terms of the crafting. Was when you had the song sound, was there any kind of like connective tissue to sort of make it work as a full record? Did that come from like the production work? Did it come from just what results from when it's you guys playing? Or how do you feel like, I guess, the kind of established atmosphere? Because if each song kind of has its own kind of unique atmosphere, how do you kind of make that work in an album, if that makes sense?
I am so obsessive about this particular element of
Yes.
records as
Yeah,
well.
pacing.
And yeah, I just sometimes had to put my foot down very hard because I truly believed in the way the record should sound. So we all had input for sure, but
It was a very long
it
process.
was a long process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's important. And like, I when I listen to a record, I like to listen from the first song to the last song. And that is like such a like lost art I find with like singles, like people releasing singles and having like one great song on the record and like nine
Maybe songs.
okay songs. Like I'm so and I say but I mean
It's important to
it's,
us.
it's
It was really
it's-
important to
I think
us.
It's our
yeah,
image, right?
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like the front to the end, like this is such
You
a
gotta keep your people,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And also, if you're like releasing for like vinyl or tape, you have to have consideration for the A and the B side, which I
yes.
find very interesting because I think like I don't know, like a lot of people seem to listen to albums now digitally, so everything's just one continuous stream, which is kind of how I grew up. I kind of grew up in the CD era, so like that was how it was for me. I sort of retroactively went back to vinyl then afterwards. I had tapes as a kid, but like I was primarily listening to stuff on CD, and it really did give me that kind of appreciation where you have to kind of have that true line twice. Basically, you have to kind of go like, here's where the A side kind of begins and ends, and then here's the perfect time to flip over. I was wondering, like, was that always a consideration too, like when making the record, of going like, okay, where's the A side and where's the B side?
Definitely. That was like so much of it. And we even have like sound bites and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're doing super throwback because you're saying CDs, like we took that into consideration too. We're like,
Yeah.
what albums do we remember loving and what elements of that, like it's not just songs. There were like little details in there, like
Yeah.
Easter eggs even. We're like, we want to do that. That's important.
Yeah.
We want it to be memorable. So for sure. Yes. Like we definitely
Actually, one thing I think lost art from the CD era that's gone now is the hidden track. I don't know if you can do that.
Funny
on
that
your
you
own.
say that.
So
I don't know
how
if
do you
you
kind of
even
incorporate a
noticed,
hidden track into
but
like
we
a
have a
modern
hidden
album?
track.
Yeah, and we even
And-
just listened to our test press and we're like,
Today.
"Sounds great. Like, yeah,
And there's a whole story about that
yeah.
song.
Did you realize that the last song was a hidden track?
Yeah.
I did not know.
Okay, yeah.
To me,
See?
it's just streamed.
What
Ah, voila.
told ya.
Okay.
But so yeah, I mean, of course, digitally, it's not apparent, but on
Yeah.
the record, the last song that you hear digitally is a hidden track.
Okay, I did not realize that. So that's actually kind of a interesting coincidence because, like, I think that was like, something for me that like I actually do remember getting fooled by hidden tracks and sometimes just letting stuff play and then suddenly it's like, wait, what's this? There's like more music playing. Do you find like for the consideration in terms of the formats, there's certain things that can work for a certain format that can't work for another, or um, like just in terms of like I guess making the record kind of amendable to different mediums, how you kind of like go about doing that?
Well, we're just gonna, I mean, yeah, we have to make an obvious adjustment, like we'll list it as its
Yeah,
own thing digitally, right? The
yeah,
song thing. And then on vinyl, it's a secret. And CD, if we release it, it'll just be like hidden. But yeah,
yeah,
I think that's what we have to do, like list it as its own track digitally.
Yeah, I
yeah.
definitely think like a hidden track is something that doesn't translate
Yeah.
to
The digital era.
digital very well.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I wanted to just kind of like wrap by talking about your new song, Say It. It comes out May 1st. This is also the opener on the album. So I was wondering why you chose this, not only as the opener, but also I guess the first indication of the new record.
It really encapsulates the whole, all the energy of this, of our band, of the album. It's exciting. It's a
Yeah,
really like fun song, and it really like is a great way to start a record because it's like a bit of a punch.
And
yeah,
the lyrics, it's just like
Yeah.
this is like so us.
Yeah.
Like, like say it like you mean it.
Yeah.
Like tell us how you really
Yeah.
feel. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. No
we're
bullshit.
Yeah, no
we're
bullshit.
around
Exactly.
40 years old, so like all of us.
Yeah,
And we don't want the filler. Like just like let's go.
And even the second verse is like continuing. Do not stop pretending.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
we know, and we're really tired of like guessing, just freaking, yeah, no
I just
bullshit would be.
think it regrasses, like what we're living today too. Like
yeah.
just life itself,
Mhm.
everything is tough and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see like I guess like the new bands that are kind of popping up in the scene, because it's something that's interesting. Because I'm a bit seasoned too, and sometimes I'll see like certain things that I can relate to in terms of like the younger bands. But then I feel there's also kind of like unique things that I just didn't have to worry about. I guess when I was like playing in bands and stuff. So I was wondering like for people who are still active in the scene but also have experience, I was wondering do you find there's certain pitfalls that you're trying to warn people about, or do you think there's certain advice you're trying to give other bands, or are you kind of just like letting them sort of do their own thing and kind of like fall and scrape their legs and learn for themselves?
I mean, I guess maybe if there's like a younger band that we play with, we'll help out. And by just being like, you know what, like
Yeah,
simple things like, oh, maybe you can turn yourself up a little bit because we can. And sometimes
yeah,
it is gender crap is still crappy. Like if it's like a girl in the band, this happened to us, like literally, where we're like, okay, she's playing with other guys and she's kind of shy. So we'll be like, that sucks. That sucks for her.
yeah,
We know how she feels. So, not to end or
Turn
like
it up.
turn it up, turn her
Turn her
up,
up.
or like so yeah, usually like sound check situations or with gear sometimes, but I would say for like career wise, I don't know, I can't really speak on that so
sure.
much. You
No.
guys know. Yeah.
I mean, I just like the only thing is just if anyone is like, I always wanted to start a band, it's just like
Yeah.
just go
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah,
We say that a lot. We're like, it's not hard. Like if people
It doesn't even need to be good.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you just do it for yourself.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
like there's like so many people will never know the feeling of like writing a song and having other people listen to it.
Yeah.
Like that is
Yeah.
such an incredible
It's like an
gift to
honor.
be able to do.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But I like pushing the young ones and
Yep.
pushing the girls to really just go for it
Yeah.
and don't let anything stop you.
Yeah. My daughter is 2.5 and she has a guitar.
Really?
Yeah. Inspiring the youth is definitely something we care about.
Yes,
for sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you find the Montreal scene in particular is it because like I said I have no real frame of reference, but is it kind of inclusive or is there kind of gatekeepery things like especially when it comes to things say like gender or sexuality, is there still kind of like stigmas or is everyone kind of cool?
People are so cool here. You
So
see
cool.
t-shirts with more women on stage, like every show. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like not just it's not just inclusive, but I feel like it's getting more inclusive.
It's so, yeah.
Like I mentioned, like you go to a show and you see like young people, old people, every type of sexuality,
Yeah.
gender,
Yeah.
race, religion,
Yeah.
like it's just like a community of people who care about each other
Yeah.
and want to lift each other up.
It's really nice to see, and it's like safe. And even though people are having fun, and mosh pits can get crazy, but like you always see that people are there to like help. Like you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
It's great.
The support is there.
Yeah.
And even sometimes during bands, the people will stop and be like, hey, be careful.
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
let the
Right.
girls
Be
up
safe.
front,
Yeah.
look who's
Yeah.
next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give them a hand,
Yeah, exactly.
It's really nice to see that,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
important.
and there was a show recently, Wine Lips, band that's on the label with us. They played in Montreal and they had like an all girl mosh pit, like stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that. It's super cool to see. And like, like a lot of my guy friends who've been playing in bands for 20, 25 years plus, they're very supportive and they're at our shows and they're happy for us. Whereas like I feel like as when I started as a musician, that wasn't necessarily 100% the case all the time. When people would say, "Oh, you're lucky to have that show," or
Yeah.
you're really lucky.
Yeah.
And now it's like, "Oh, you guys work really hard
Yeah.
and you get these like cool things." That's
Yeah.
great.
It's not like because you're girls or whatever.
I was-
know?
Back in the day, I was very afraid to play. I was stressed out because it wasn't, always supportive and.
Me too. I
And
felt like
now
that too.
today, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like,
Like I used to be super scared too. Now that you think of it, now that you say it,
Mhm.
I haven't thought of that in a while, but I don't have that feeling anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I've kind of noted here, and I don't know if this is something that you relate to, but like, I know it's like there's a lot of like specific club nights over here in Dublin that's like, queer night, and it's like queer acts and it's like non-binary acts, and they'll do like, women to the front kind of things and different events, and I noticed that like primarily these are being pushed by indie promoters working with indie venues to, put on these nights and put on these events, and I find that like the kind of more corporate sort of bigger venues, like there seems to just be like I don't know, they'll be inclusive if there's a profit in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if like if in Montreal like there is like a kind of difference between the sport maybe at like a kind of more indie venue versus like a more corporate one, or is that just kind of like a universal experience?
Well, there are a couple shows, like there's bigger ticketed, well, when we play bigger shows, of course, you can still see there's a lot more work that can be done to get more women or, people of color or indigenous folks. Like there's
Yeah.
still a lot of work to be done, I'd say, in the corporate world. But even then, the crowd is still very mixed and versatile. So diverse, yeah, not versatile, but like, so that's one observation. Like the bill, because what I'm trying to say is like the bands that they book, there's still room for improvement. You still see it's like kind of a boys' club still,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, there's actually like a few like Instagram accounts that call out that, like plus de filles sur la prog,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
The fee or.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember the exact.
Yeah.
The fee sur la programmation.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But they'll like say like, by the way, you're playing with a band that's possibly racist or sexist or something, and like just so you know, and
they will take like these big festival posters and only show the women
yeah,
or
Yeah,
like the bands
they do that here
like,
too.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
non-binary trans.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's when you see it like that, it makes you think about it a little bit
It's
differently.
pretty shocking. It'll be like 1 or 2 out of like 30.
But I will say that in Quebec specifically, I have noticed a lot
Yes.
more inclusion
Yeah.
in the bigger festivals.
In the past couple of years, for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. And one fun thing I just wanted to ask, actually, just out for my own kind of curiosity, is I was just wondering what it's actually like to practically tour Canada as an indie act. So I know, for example, where you're situated. Correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, but Ottawa and Toronto are in pretty close proximity, so it's
Yes.
like a drive. But if like you want to go further afield, is it difficult to traverse? Because like I've spoken to acts from like bigger countries. I'm from a country that's like the size of a postage stamp. So like when I talk to acts who are from like say Australia, it's like no, you have to kind of get a plane everywhere. When I talk to bands from the States, they're kind of like no, it's pretty easy to get around. So what's it like in Canada? Is it easy
my
to traverse or?
It's so big.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you have to fly. There's too many hours in between
Yeah.
the major cities, and not only is Canada big, but we don't have a massive population. So there will be like little towns in between the big cities, but like
maybe no one will be there.
or maybe there's like 100
There's
people
like
that live in
20
the city.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, Ontario is a little bit different
Yeah.
in Quebec as well. Like
Yeah.
we spent all summer basically touring Quebec, like
Yeah.
in different festivals, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Ontario can also be like that, but to get out west, you have
Or
to
east. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
when we played the East Coast, we flew, right? We
Yeah.
like went to because there wouldn't be it's like going from Dublin to like Croatia. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably that's the thing. I'm also on like the smallest continent too. So
Yeah.
my frame of
Yeah.
reference for geography is very
Yeah.
squashed.
Well, Halifax from here, I think, is about 16-hour drive.
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah. So that's like absurd to me, like to be on the road that long.
it
That
is.
sounds like
It's
hell.
absurd.
That's why we
Perfect. Thanks very much for your time. It was really lovely talking with
Oh.
you. I just want to reiterate, Static is out June 26th, and say it should be out by the time this is up. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up? Anything I failed to cover that you think people should know?
Well, hopefully we'll make it out to that across the pond
Yeah.
to your neck because
I
we
would
really
love
want
to
to
go
go.
to Ireland.
Yeah, Ireland, like would love to come. So all you listening in Dublin, hopefully see you soon.
Yes, come over. We'll book you. Thanks very much for your time, guys. Have a
Nice
great
to
day.
meet you, Erin.
It's nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
I don't know how to.
Bye. Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We're available wherever you get your podcasts, so we hope that you enjoyed and would consider subscribing, giving it a like on YouTube, or a rating anywhere else. We also have some exclusive episodes only available on Spotify, which features interviews with the likes of Kim Deal, Ron Mail of Sparks, Jacob Slater of Wonder Horse, Maria Kelly, Gavin Friday, and many more. So check those out if you're so inclined. Otherwise, thank you for listening and see you next time.